What if nothing around you is random, and every thought you've ever had was heard? You've been sending signals without realizing it, not with your words, but with your energy. In this video, you'll uncover a long-forgotten code, an ancient method of speaking with the universe that's been hidden in silence, symbols, and sound. Watch until the end, because remembering this could change everything. What if reality isn't something that happens to you, but something that responds through you? All those moments when you whispered to yourself in the dark, made a wish no one else heard, or silently hoped for a sign. What if they were never ignored? Long before modern science had a name for quantum fields or neural resonance, ancient minds understood something profound. They believed the universe itself wasn't inert or indifferent. It was alive, a vast, conscious network of intelligence that doesn't just surround you, it senses you. Native tribes in North America saw the sky as a communicator, not just a canvas of stars. For them, rituals weren't just for worship, they were for conversation. In ancient Mesopotamia, symbols carved into stone weren't decorations, they were language. Across early American spiritual thought, from transcendentalists like Emerson to mystics like Edgar Cayce, the idea remained: the cosmos is aware. This isn't just metaphor, it's not superstition, it's the recognition that you're part of a dynamic, listening universe that responds, not to your words, but to your state of being. The question isn't whether you've been heard, it's what you've been saying without speaking. And more importantly, are you ready to remember how to speak the universe's true language? Before humanity crafted alphabets or invented the telephone, people already knew how to communicate without uttering a word. They didn't need a language. They had something more powerful: vibration. Modern devices use signals to transmit data. But long before that, ancient mystics understood. Thoughts and emotions carry their own frequency. Every feeling you hold, every idea you repeat, it radiates, it broadcasts. And the universe? It's always tuned in. Texts like the Kybalion speak of an ancient law: as within, so without, as above, so below. What this really means is that your inner world isn't private. It's loud. It's a signal constantly reflecting back through your circumstances, your luck, your patterns. The universe is like a radio receiver. It doesn't hear what you say. It picks up what you broadcast. Your fears, your gratitude, your beliefs, they're all frequencies. If your inner station is tuned to scarcity, love can't reach you clearly. If you're aligned with peace, chaos has no place to enter. Ancient cultures from Egypt to Peru aligned their temples and monuments with the stars, not for superstition, but for resonance. Their architecture wasn't random. It was tuned. Every stone placement was a way of harmonizing heaven and earth. Just like they calibrated their sacred spaces, you can also align your inner signal with the rhythm of the cosmos. And here's the key: the universe doesn't give you what you wish for. It returns what you transmit. Every thought you hold isn't just a flicker of the mind, it's a transmission. Every emotion isn't just a mood, it's a frequency sent outward like a beacon. What you feel most intensely becomes a signal the universe can't ignore. Ancient American visionaries, much like Eastern sages, didn't separate thought from reality. They believed that consciousness didn't observe creation, it shaped it. In early indigenous teachings, words held sacred power because of the energy behind them. They didn't speak to inform, they spoke to invoke. Old spiritual texts hinted at something powerful. Sound came first, form followed. In other words, vibration creates matter. The most well-known example, the sound Om. But it's not just a chant, it's a sonic alignment. When uttered with presence, it adjusts your internal rhythm to match the pulse of the cosmos, not metaphorically, literally. Western mystics like Rudolf Steiner also spoke of creative speech and spiritual tone. It's the idea that your energy doesn't wait to act, it already is action. When you think in loops of anxiety, you're not just processing, you're transmitting. And the more emotionally charged your thoughts, the stronger the frequency. The concept isn't just spiritual, it's biological. Your nervous system, your breath, even your heartbeat, all operate as emitters of subtle signals, and every one of them contributes to your field. That field is what the universe reads. You don't need to shout to be heard. You just need to feel it, deeply and consistently. So the real command isn't verbal, it's vibrational. And every day, with every emotion, you're already giving instructions to the universe, whether you're aware of it or not. Wanting something isn't enough. hoping, wishing, visualizing, all fall flat if the energy behind them is misaligned. The universe doesn't respond to your desire, it responds to your frequency. Across various traditions, be it the desert, wisdom of the Navajo, or the rhythmic breathwork of early yogic practices, people understood that what you are matters more than what you want. You can say, "I want peace," but if your body hums with anxiety, that's the message being sent out. Your internal state is like a musical instrument. If it's out of tune, the world around you reflects dissonance. The ancient mystics weren't meditating for escape. They were adjusting their inner sound, clearing static, refining their resonance. That's why they were able to create with the universe, not against it. Science calls it coherence. Spirit calls it harmony. Either way, the law remains. Frequency shapes form. Everything you experience, relationships, finances, health, mirrors, the energy you sustain, not the intentions you barely feel. Vibrations don't lie. You can speak abundance, but if you carry scarcity in your chest, the signal gets distorted. And so, the reality you receive echoes that distortion. That's why spiritual teachers across cultures emphasized embodiment. You attract love by feeling love. You align with success by living from confidence, not chasing it. Even the ancient temples and stone circles weren't passive monuments. They were frequency tools, architectural expressions of the laws of vibration. Just as you calibrate your radio to catch a specific song, you must calibrate your inner world to receive what you seek. The shift happens not when you ask, but when you become. Here's a truth often missed. Your feelings are more powerful than your voice. Emotion carries weight, far more than empty affirmations. And if you're not embodying what you're asking for, your signal fades before it reaches anywhere meaningful. This is where ancient practices step in, not as rituals to follow blindly, but as tools to rewire your energetic field. Visualization isn't just mental imagery, it's energetic rehearsal. When early healers in pre-colonial America closed their eyes and saw abundance, they weren't daydreaming, they were transmitting. And it wasn't only about seeing. They felt the wealth, the healing, the love, as if it already existed. That feeling wasn't wishful thinking. It was a vibrational anchor. The Vedic phrase, Yad Bhavam Tad Bhavati, roughly translates to, what you believe becomes, not just conceptually, but energetically. Every breath pattern, every sacred gesture, every sound, from chants to drumming, was designed to create internal alignment. Mantras weren't just spoken, they were coded signals, tuning the body to a specific frequency. Gestures like mudras or breathwork weren't symbolic, they were methods for stabilizing that signal. In Native American sweat lodges, every rhythm had intention. In early Christian mysticism, repeated prayers functioned the same way, as tuning forks, not just devotion. These weren't random customs, they were energetic technologies, and now, in modern terms, you can think of them as spiritual programming. When you speak "I am love" and feel disconnected, it's static. But when you infuse that phrase with truth, when it resonates in your body, it becomes a broadcast, a command. The ancients weren't begging the divine for help. They were reminding themselves of who they truly were. The practices weren't about reaching for miracles. They were about becoming the space where miracles unfold naturally. Some messages don't arrive in words. They appear in patterns, a song at the perfect moment, a repeating number on a clock, a dream that feels more real than waking life. These aren't accidents, they're responses. The more you pay attention, the more obvious it becomes. Reality doesn't speak in sentences, it speaks in symbols. That gut feeling when someone enters the room, the déjà vu that pulls your breath for a second. These are fragments of a larger conversation, one that happens beneath logic. In ancient teachings across continents, from Hopi prophecies to Vedic scriptures, it was believed that intuition wasn't imagination, it was intelligence from beyond the senses. And to receive it clearly, your inner signal had to be clean. That's where the chakras, or energy centers, come into play. Not just as abstract concepts, but as resonance points. Each one corresponds to a particular vibration, and when they're out of sync, the flow between you and the universe becomes static. What's often called the third eye isn't mystical fantasy. It's a biological reality. The pineal gland. Nestled deep within the brain, this tiny structure is sensitive to light, magnetism, and rhythm. Many cultures viewed it as a spiritual antenna designed to perceive more than sight and sound. When activated through focused breath, silence, or sound, this internal receiver sharpens. Messages become clearer. Intuition becomes trustworthy. That's why sages of the past didn't run from the world into caves. They entered silence to hear the world more truthfully. Synchronicities, symbols, inner visions, they're not anomalies, they're language, and your body is the antenna meant to interpret them. Sometimes life leaves clues. A name you were thinking suddenly appears on your screen. A stranger says something that answers a question you've been silently carrying. These are not coincidences. They're responses from something greater. In many ancient traditions, from the desert mystics to Celtic seers, it was understood that the universe doesn't always speak out loud. It whispers, through signs, numbers, feelings, and strange timing. The more aware you become, the more fluent you grow in this silent language. Western psychology calls it intuition. Sacred texts called it the inner eye. Indigenous elders called it the voice of the earth. But no matter the name, it refers to the same phenomenon, the deeper intelligence inside you that hears what logic cannot. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali describe something called pratyaksha anubhava, direct perception beyond the five senses. It's when insight doesn't arrive from books or teachers, but from a clarity that arises from stillness. This was the method of saints, sages, and visionaries across continents. They weren't chasing enlightenment, they were listening. That's why they withdrew to forests, mountains, and deserts, not to escape life but to finally hear it. And when they returned, they didn't speak of new doctrines, they spoke of knowing. A knowing that doesn't argue, a knowing that doesn't need permission, a knowing you've already felt too, when your body says yes before your mind can explain why. These synchronicities are not random, they're invitations. The only question is, are you paying attention? Stillness isn't empty, it's full of answers. And long before meditation became an app or a wellness trend, it was a sacred practice used to tune consciousness like a precise instrument, not to escape life, but to synchronize with it. The ancient ones, whether sitting in Appalachian caves or within monastic silence, understood that clarity doesn't come from more thinking, it comes from alignment. When your mind is quiet, the universe becomes louder, and what you once thought were random thoughts, they reveal themselves as signals. Symbols like the Sri Yantra or sacred mandalas weren't just art, they were energetic diagrams. Visualizing them wasn't passive observation, it was interaction. These geometric patterns mapped how energy flows, how intention shapes form, and how the seen world is born from the unseen. Visualization was never just mental imagery, it was creation in progress. When you truly feel the state you desire, not imagine it, but embody it, you initiate resonance. Your nervous system believes it's real, your energy field adjusts, the universe responds. Mantras, when spoken with intention, act like tuning devices. They don't call something outside to enter your life, they ignite what's already within you. And paired with the right breath, posture, and awareness, they do more than calm the mind, they alter your field. Even the act of writing to the universe wasn't symbolic, it was energetic architecture. Every word was a vibration, every letter was a signal. These weren't hopeful wishes, they were declarations from someone who had remembered their power. You weren't meant to chase alignment, you were designed to live from it. That's the real meaning behind meditation, not silence for silence's sake, but a doorway through which true communication begins. You were never separate, not from the stars, not from the source, not from the intelligence that shapes everything. The illusion of distance is what kept you searching, when in truth the thing you're seeking has always been you. Modern culture teaches us to chase, to become worthy of something later. But ancient wisdom from both the East and the West whispered a different truth. You don't get what you want, you receive what you are. That's why true transformation doesn't begin with desire, it begins with embodiment. When your inner state matches the frequency of what you long for, there's no gap left to close. The mirror of life reflects what's already vibrating within you. The words, I am, carry unmatched power, but they mean nothing unless they're felt as truth. I am love only becomes real when your actions, emotions, and beliefs echo it. I am abundance only resonates when lack no longer defines your identity. These aren't affirmations, they're activations. The Upanishads once said, Tat Tvam Asi, you are that. In other words, the divine you're hoping to find isn't out there in the cosmos, it's alive in your breath, your heartbeat, your consciousness. And when you finally remember this, not just as an idea, but as an experience, this, something shifts. You stop asking for signs and start becoming one. You stop waiting for miracles and start living as their source. The universe never stopped listening. It was just waiting for you to speak in its language again. Not through fear, but through frequency. Not through asking, but through being.